What's up, everybody? It's Jeffrey Lyles welcoming you to another edition of Lyles Figure Files. Finally done it, decided to go wild and live, so hopefully this won't be a complete disaster, but thank you as always for tuning in. I want to talk about some of my favorite figure lines and the possibility of what would happen if I could only choose one or in some cases 2 packs of figures to complete my line. I was thinking back and I'm taking a browse through my figure room, looking at my DC Classics collection. And that's probably the one that always makes me go, ugh. There's so many what ifs. It's just like, I just really wish that were completed. And there were so many figures on that line that I wish were made, especially when they started switching over to that subscription-based model where it was like, okay, we're going to give you 12 figures in a year. And every month I was going, okay, some more of my list is going to get knocked out. And I kept feeling like, nope, we're getting pushed back. And then figures like Fire and Ice came out and I was like, wow, it's kind of disappointing. What's up, Ski Raider? How you doing? Good to see you again, rocking with me on another live. And so it's just been wild. It's kind of crazy. So I was thinking, what would I do if I had the power, like Prince Adam, to decide the final figure? Because Scott Knight, aka Toy Guru, was like, yeah, this Commandy figure, that one was for me. So I'm thinking, what would I do if I had the power to choose that final figure? Like, I got word from on high. The line is dead. We've got to sell whatever we can now, but you get to choose the last figure in this line. And it can't be Bad Zorro. It's got to be something cool. It's got to be something that you want, that if you were not able to get any more figures, what would you choose? So I decided, all right, well, let me think about some of my lines. So I'm going to break down today Mafex, Storm Collectibles, Star Wars Black Series, of course, G.I. Joe Classified, Marvel Legends, and WWE from Mattel. So there are lots of figures, lots of options for this. And, I kind of think about it like there's some figure lines that I have where I feel pretty good about what we got. So from Masters of the Universe, the Classics collection, thank you, Ski Raider. I was hoping this would be fun. Of course, I want to hear from you all as well, what you all want to see on this. So I'm looking at my collection. There are a few lines that are great. I think they've covered all the bases. Masters of the Universe, definitely one. What's up, Glenn? How you doing out there? But of course, there's that Simpsons line. And that's my line where I feel like they did so much, so many great figures. Playmates absolutely just delivered on everything with that stuff. And there's one figure, of course, that I was just thinking, gosh, if we had just gotten that one, I would have been really happy and satisfied. So for that, of course, gotta go with Maud Flanders. I was just thinking like, geez, she's the only one that I really feel is like super needed. And of course, there's that Diedrich Tatum, but Super 7 is making that. So I don't care how out of scale he is. He just look like the supersized Mike Tyson against my boxing Homer, which I can finally open up. I've had that in the box forever, but now I can actually have Diedrich. But Maud was, of course, a key core member of the Flanders household. And I always feel like if we had just gotten her, I would feel like there's no figure on that line that I really wanted that I did not get. So definitely wish I'd gotten her. Another line that was perfect that I didn't feel like, oh man, if only they had gotten to them, was the Palisades Muppets collection. There's no figure on that line that I felt like, oh man, maybe the only one is that tease with Super Grover. Because it's like, oh man, if you guys can get the Muppets in the same quality as these Muppet figures, I mean, the Sesame Street gang as well as the Muppet characters, I'd have been so happy, so satisfied. But I've got my Muppets collection on a prime spot of my collection. I will promise I will show these figures to you soon. I just need to clean up a few more things there. But the Palisades line was just so cool, so amazing. And agreed, Ski Raider. That stuff was great. I mean, they knocked out every figure. You could tell the love they put into them. It was like, wow, these figures are awesome. And I have my Statler and Waldorf because those are my movie heckling inspiration. I have them right in the center of my main display for the Muppets, and they were my favorite characters, along with Crow and Servo from Mystery Science Theater 3000. So I've got those guys hanging out real tight. But yeah, so those guys were definitely figures that I wanted. But it's like, all right, now what if I had control of current lines? What would I do? And of course, there are several figure lines that I want to knock out. But let's start first off with Mafex. Of course, you know I've got to go with Wonder Woman. We've got an amazing Superman. We've got an amazing Batman. We were getting that Nightfall Batman. It's going to be my classic 70s, 80s Batman. But I'm kind of wondering, are we going to get a Mafex Wonder Woman? Because they tend to tackle big storylines. We've got Dark Knight Returns. We've got Death and Reign of the Superman. We've got Nightfall coming. We've got Batman Hush. But there's no classic Wonder Woman that I think that would make Mafex go, this is the storyline of Wonder Woman we're going to tackle. I feel like they're going to have to do a main DC event to get a figure. And if we're going to get one, I absolutely need her in the style of George Paris. Because, geez, there is nobody better than him in terms of drawing Wonder Woman. I mean, there are other cool artists, but, geez, the classic George Paris version of Wonder Woman is absolutely the Mafex figure. If we could not get any other one from them, it would have to be her. And we need the full out golden lasso, one that attaches to her hip, one that you can use to wrap up and lasso some guys to. We definitely need her. If I was being greedy for Mafex, I'd just say I need a whole classic satellite era Justice League. But since I'm trying to play fair, at least early on, I'm just going to say Wonder Woman. Now, I know you guys are kind of with me on this. Nolan, exactly, classic Wonder Woman for sure. Am I the only one that would want? I'm thinking maybe there's some other characters. I know if we get all these Batman Hush figures and we don't get a Tim Drake Robin, I'm going to be very unhappy because DC Classics never really gave us a great Tim Drake original costume Robin. We got a bad repaint, but that was kind of like, here you go. McFarlane Toys is actually getting us a pretty cool looking one, but I still need one for Mafex because that line is really great, providing some definitive figures. I'd really like him as well. So he's probably my runner up on that. So then I've really gotten addicted to the Storm Collectibles line, and I didn't think it was fair to break it down and go, okay, one figure, because they have so many issues in terms of focusing on just one line. They'll start a figure line, then they'll go to another one. Oh, here's another fighting game that no one's heard of. We're going to make 3 figures from it. I'm really impressed at how much they've done with Golden Axe because there are other more popular fighting games that there's still kind of like lots of characters left. Balrog, Dhalsim, or Blank. I'm sorry, not Balrog. We finally got Balrog coming. But there's so many Street Fighter figures. It's like, dude, you guys need to focus on the World Warriors. Let's get them knocked out. So I decided, all right, I'm going to break them down to my 3 priority fighting games. So that's Tekken, Mortal Kombat, and of course, Street Fighter. So first up, I'm going to go with Tekken. And that's Jun Kazama because she was really cool in the fight scenes. And I love fighting with her. Like, she had such a cool style. Loved using her in Tekken Tag Team Tournament. It was really fun doing all her cool moves and just sending everybody bouncing and juggling in the air as I was like chaining all her fight moves. And I feel like they haven't done a lot of figures in Tekken. I'm kind of like, where's the love? I know we got Paul Phoenix now, and I've got King, and I really love King, but I need some more characters from Tekken, and she would absolutely be a great addition to the line. I was kind of thinking Yoshimitsu, but there's so many different looks for him that it'd just be hard to come up with a look that would make the most sense as the definitive version of him. Now, I feel like he's probably the Tekken character that's most like Scorpion and Sub-Zero for the Mortal Kombat lines, where they can keep cranking out more and more figures. Oh, gosh, you're right, Ski Raider. Eddie Goro, he would be really fun as a figure too. But Yoshimitsu is cool. I really would think like, was it the Tekken 3 look? Is it the Tekken 7 look for him? But I think June has a pretty basic standard look that if they knocked out one figure for her, it'd be this Tekken Tag Team Tournament, Tekken 3 look. And I think a lot of us would be really happy. Now there's martial law, other figures. There's so many great figures in Tekken, so many great characters. Bruce, Andy, Roger, so many. I'd love to see them. And it's kind of like, come on, guys. We need to get a little bit more Tekken love coming to us on figure form. So definitely want to see her. So then we got to go on to Street Fighter and not Street Fighters, Mortal Kombat. And we got to get my guy Johnny Cage, Hollywood himself. I don't really care. I think that his looks have evolved over the years, but I really like this shirtless jacket look so we can see his Johnny tattoo over on his chest. That's kind of wild and just perfectly embodies the character. It's got his sunglasses, and I would just love to be able to hit those poses that you can with the Storm collectible figures. the Shadow Punch, all that cool stuff with him. He's one of my favorites. We finally got Kung Lao, Liu Kang, so now we got him. Sonya Blade was my runner-up with this one, but I just think for right now, if I got to choose one Mortal Kombat character, it's got to be Johnny Cage. So then we go to Street Fighter, and there's so many great characters left. The original 8, I'm partial to T-Hawk, Fei Long, DJ, won all these guys, Cody Guy, the Final Fight crew, Rolento, so many characters. But if I can only choose one, I got to get that last boss of Shadow Low. So got to go with Vega. Vega was awesome. I love the original look for him. I know he's got that cool modern look, but I love this classic thing where you can see his snake tattoo going around his torso up to his neck area, the gold bangles, of course, the ponytail. And you know they do a great job with separate heads, one with the mask, one with it off that he can hold. That would be great, and I would love it. And Ski Raider, I saw that today when I was looking for photos on this. Miz playing Johnny Cage would be so perfect. And if he could just do it, that's awesome. One time as Johnny Cage, I would love that. Did anybody like that last Mortal Kombat movie? I thought it was pretty good. But I was like, where's my guy Johnny Cage? And then they kind of teased it. Maybe he would show up in the sequel. So I'd love to see him in that. And so that's that. Now we're going to move on to another line that I know you guys are looking forward to as well. For me, I really love the Star Wars Black Series line. I really dove into SH Figure Arts when they started messing around with the likenesses, but then Hasbro pulled me all the way back in with the TrueFX printing that actually gets the likenesses down to the actors so much better. Then they started turning things around. They did the Rogue One figures over again. And I said, okay, I'm going to go back. I'm going to give you guys a chance. And I feel like they haven't burned me. So now I've got a massive Black Series collection. There's so many Clone Wars figures, characters that I want in figure form. But I decided I was going to go a different route for my most wanted Star Wars figures. And back in the day, long before this gray started populating all over my hair, I was really into the comic book from Marvel. And I got into it pretty late. I mean, I read the adaptations of Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back, but it wasn't until the later run, like in the late 90s, like 95, 96, etc., where they introduced this really cool villain, and she was amazing, and she had this electro whip, and she fought and beat Luke, and that was kind of like, whoa, how is anybody beating Luke Skywalker at this point? And it was Luma, yeah. She was really cool. Like, her design is great. Darth Vader hooked up with this cybernetic outfit, and that just looks crazy to see her. And that, I don't even know how they would work the whip, but I think that would be really great. We've seen Hasbro doing all these different versions of characters from the comic books. I really wish they would tackle these Marvel characters, because she has an awesome style design. And you could take the helmet off and show her long hair. In the comic books, she was in a relationship with Luke Skywalker. So it was just kind of like, oh man, his lover is now his enemy. Kind of like what they did eventually with Mara Jade. But I really like her look, and I think she would be really fun. And she also teamed up with this group of villains who weren't the Empire. Something my brother and I complain about with these new films. It's like, there's other villains that the characters could fight. That the Jedi, the Rebels, all these guys, the New Republic could fight, that aren't just basic the Empire, the Sith. And so there's this other group that was really, really cool. And these guys, Dan Siva is the character that I would really want to see, because he's part of the Nagai. They call themselves the Knives. He used knives. You can see that. He teamed up with Lumia, so they've got their connection right there. And he kind of reminds me of Morbius from Sandman. This actually predates Neil Gaiman's run on Sandman, but the look is cool. All of them have this kind of crazy great look. What's up, 000 or 0000? How we doing? I love the design of these guys, and I think they could make for a really cool 2-pack in the Black Series comic book line. I feel like that's something we really, really, really should get. Jay, what's going on? You caught a live stream. I finally decided to go ahead and jump in and do one. So you haven't missed a series of me doing live streams. And what's up, Daniel? Good to see you as well. These guys were made for really cool figures. And if they went really hard, they could just make army builders of this race because they use knives. So they'd be great villains to fight with our rebels, going after Han Solo, fighting Leia, getting jacked up by Chewbacca. They've got a really great look. And then Hero, because I want to do like a whole 3-pack of these guys from my comic book days. Hero was Luke's close friend, kind of like his protege. He wanted to learn how to be a Jedi. He's part of a race called the Isaklonian. I think that's how you pronounce it. We don't really get pronunciations in comic books, so you just have to make it up and act like you knew what they were saying. But he's got such a great look, orange skin, big eyes, and he's a water breather, so he's got to keep his tank on at all times. And this is him after getting jacked up by some of the Nagai, and they fought him down. Now he's coming to get revenge because his girlfriend has been caught, so now he's going after them. And Kiro's got all kinds of different looks, as you see here, teaming up with Luke in their crazy outfit. But he'd just be a fun character. I think these additions to that line would be so fun because the Black Series has dabbled into the comic books, more of the modern era ones. But I think if they did figures on these classic looks, that'd be really cool and really fun to see. So, Ski Raider. Yeah, I think there's so many cool Star Wars figures that we could do so much more than just the, hey, here's another updated version of a character with slightly better likeness and different looks to their outfit. Star Wars is so rich in characters, and I feel like there's other books, novels that they could use for figures. I know there's like, okay, that expanded universe stuff doesn't count. But there are other more interesting avenues that they could go for figures, and we don't need to just say, okay, we can only do the ones based off the modern Marvel comic book era. They're really cool figures, really cool characters who would make for great figures. And there's so many options for characters too, like from video games and all that good stuff. There's so much more than just what we've been getting. What's up, 80s kids from the 90s? You know what? You're absolutely right. We do need a Lobot too, because if we get all these great characters from Empire Strikes Back and we don't get Lobot, that would be kind of messed up. And the Vintage Collection is getting some really cool Bestman guards, and I kind of want some of those in the 6-inch line as well. Kind of find it weird that there's so many like, oh, I want that from the Black Series. I want them too. And it seems like there's such a long delay from when we actually see them in the Vintage Collection before we get them into the Black Series. Looking at Star Killer from Force Unleashed, and I'm thinking, how many years am I going to have to wait to get him in the Black Series? Because those games were really fun and really cool to see, play him out, have him going against Vader and the Emperor, and I love to get him because Sam Witwer's the man in Star Wars. He's just a great fan of it, played his voice actor for Darth Maul, and I love to get a likeness of him in figure form on my Star Wars shelf as well. And then Robert, what's up, guy? There's so much Star Wars that can be done. Yeah, I mean, there's so many great characters, and it's like, dude, what do we got? Zero, what do you think about the Mafex Marvel and DC line? So for Mafex, I mentioned Wonder Woman is 100% my option, my choice on that one. Got to get her, and we got to get her based off of the one and only George Perez look, because nobody did a better drawing or drew her better than George Perez. Like, that is, I guess I could say that for every character in DC or Marvel or whatever else he wanted to do, because he just embodied the character so perfectly. Like his version of Hawkman, where he had the cowl hanging up just a little bit so you could see the silhouette of his nose. You couldn't really see his eyes. I love that portrayal. Definitely like Joe Kubert did, but George made it look even better. So I'd love to see that look for them as well. 6-inch Star Killer from Hot Banana Water. Yeah, we got to get him. I just feel like there's so many great Star Wars characters that we really should get. Star Killer, so many others. In 80s, kid from the 90s. I want a comics DC Multiverse, Darkseid. Yeah, see, that's the thing. I feel like what we're getting with McFarlane's kind of like, let's do this one. Let's go around to this. Let's do this version. I really wish he'd had a little bit more focus. I think Mafex has a really good idea of taking big storylines and just making figures of that. For Mafex on that kind of deal, I would love for them to just tackle Superpowers, the comic book, particularly the second one, because we can get so many great characters from that. We can get Dr. Fate, Manus, Steppenwolf, Calabac, Firestorm, Green Arrow. I mean, there's so many characters in the DC universe they haven't tackled yet, but superpowers would really allow them to do so many. But you're right, Jay. They did Jackson, and he was from this comic book era. So I'd love to see more from this Marvel, the early Marvel era. I'm kind of wondering why they kind of stopped and done more of the traditional current versions. But I guess that's kind of true with Marvel as well, with the Marvel Legends line. So I love to see more than just Jackson because he's an interesting character. But yeah, I love to see them. Kelly, how you doing? And my man Mike, what's going on? Yes. So those are for everybody who's just joining. I've broken down kind of some of my picks. I would retroactively go back in time and have Playmates make a Maude Flanders figure for my World of Simpsons line. It's one of the all-time best, most complete lines with the absence of her, with the exception of her. Mafex, George Perez version, Wonder Woman, Storm Collectibles, I need a Tekken, Jun Kazama, Mortal Kombat, Johnny Cage, and from Street Fighter, Vega. I mean, yeah, we got to get Vega, but there's so many Street Fighter characters that I need absolutely. Robert says, I like McFarlane, but they don't scale with Marvel Legends, and that's what I like to see. Yeah, I really wish he had decided to take that approach because I feel like I can kind of fudge those Mafex figures with some of the Marvel Legends, even though they're starting to creep the scale up, and it's like, calm it down, guys. Let's keep that together. Uncarter Reviews, so awesome to see you live stream. Thank you. Hopefully you're not seeing me sweating buckets as I'm doing all this and trying to keep up with the comments. So thank you for watching and tuning in. 80s kid from the 90s. I wonder if we'll get an updated Batman Luke from Black Series. Listen, my favorite movie, or one of my three, is Godfather, Empire Strikes Back, and Avengers Endgame, because I had to throw in a modern movie. But I need every version of Luke from Empire Strikes Back. I had just got the Dagobah training one with Yoda. And when I saw the head sculpt, I said, this one is the one I need to put on my Bestman Luke, because the Bestman Luke updated figure, because the first one that came out early on in the Black Series line was so bad. I was like, nope, not buying that, because that's one of my favorite looks for Luke. That was a tongue twister. And I need that in figure form properly represented. Let me just bring out one of my all-time favorite figures here, if I can pull them out. Yeah, there we go. So this is my guy. This is one of my favorite figures. The Hot Toys, Bestman Luke, totally perfect in all kinds of ways. I need a Black Series version of Luke like that, because if I can get that, I'll be all set. Butterfly shoulders, the joints that can go fully on. We see that new Return of the Jedi version of Luke, and that looks to be a really great articulated version of Luke. I need that for Bestman with the updated sculpting that we have right now, and a way better head sculpt than the previous two. I'm hoping this Dagobah Luke one will work, that I can transplant that just fine and have that as my Luke. Hot Banana Water says updated Doom Patrol for McFarlane. The Bath could be Robot Man. Now, which way would you do Cliff on that one? Would you have him with the vest, the modern look, or the old school classic? He's just rocking the orange suit, because I like the modern-esque take on Doom Patrol, but I really love their classic looks. And for me, Doom Patrol are red and white, classic colors, Negative Man, Elastigirl, Mento, and Beast Boy. That would be my team, of course, with Robot Man and Chief, but that would be my squad for them. But there's so many versions of Doom Patrol, I'm curious which one you'd go for. Oh, yeah, we need the updated Bestman Luke. Kelly, yes. Child of the 80s, my toys were all sizes, so scale doesn't bother me. Yeah, on any given day, I would have my Star Wars and G.I. Joe figures commingling, the Transformers stomping around. It was just whatever figures I could get a hold of. The superpowers that sometimes come in there in the mix too, so I'm totally with you on that for sure. Yeah, I actually like the HBO Max, or just maxing out Doom Patrol. That's pretty fun. I think they did a good job with it. I really wish they had taken Cyborg and put him into another show, but I think Cyborg is really fun on that. I actually wouldn't mind figures on that, and I think that's something that McFarlane Toys could do in like one wave, knock out everybody and make us all happy. I mean, I'd be down for a Timothy Dalton Doom Patrol Chief. Oh yeah, Carter Reviews, that Hot Toys Revenge of the Sith, Return of the Jedi, Darth Vader with the electrical light up head. That looks amazing. That price tag also looks amazing because, I mean, geez, that's almost enough to buy a WCW Monday Nitro set. But it looks really cool, and at least from the light up set on his head and the removable helmet, the sawed off limb, stump arm, I think they did enough to kind of make that look cool. But yeah, it's a great looking figure. And yeah, Robert, I would go classic on Doom Patrol as well. Excuse me. Dangers of live stream and allergies. 80s kids from the 90s. Black Series Captain Antilles. Not Wedge's father. We're talking about from Revenge of the Sith. Captain Antilles. Make sure to have these droids right, except for R2 because he's a secret and keeper of all things secret in Star Wars. He'd be really fun to see as well. I feel like there's so many Star Wars characters that need figures. I could probably come up with 50 that really deserve and warrant figures that I think a lot of people would buy. Then there are fringe ones that I think would look cool as figures. I mean, there's so many characters from the Clone Wars to just mine that you could go, oh, let's get this figure, let's get this one. And I feel like Hasbro kind of has tunnel vision based on anniversaries. Like, it's great to see all this cool new stuff from Return of the Jedi. I'm really happy for everybody that missed out on the San Diego Comic-Con Jabba the Hutt so they can get that figure with Salacious Chrome. I'm hoping the package still includes the cardboard carbonite Han Solo, the little platform so you can rest on, because they never made a dais for him to lay on and just chill, have his little drink, and grab some frogs. I'm really happy about that. I need a 2-pack or 3-pack of Ewoks so we can get like 5 of them and build up a full army of stormtrooper killers that look like teddy bears. I kind of need that in my life. And I saw, well, I think actually one of you all may have sent me an image. It was definitely one of you all. I won't say who sent me a picture of somebody who made an @ST that was scaled with Black Series figures, and I really, really, really want that. I mean, I think for Star Wars vehicle, my absolute number one choice, oh geez, there's so many. If price was not an option, I could just say whatever the heck I wanted, I get. It would have to be a Millennium Falcon, but I feel like an X-Wing is probably more likely and more viable because I feel like they can almost do that in retail because we got that Snow Speeder and we got the Land Speeder. The X-Wing seems like something that should have happened. Hopefully we can get it as a Pulse exclusive. But if I were just totally like, I'll take anything because price doesn't matter, I'd have to get an AT-AT. And I'd probably get 4 of them. So anytime that I got snow in my area, I would be lugging those out just to take photos with my Snow Speeder and having them step on Luke's one and getting yoked up by Wedges and then falling. Great shot, Wedge. I see it. Yeah, I would love to see that. Ken, yeah, we definitely need a better blade. Darth Malgus, that's a cool choice. Yeah, there's like so many Star Wars characters that we absolutely need them. I'm going to get to you guys with the Marvel Legends. I want to make sure I mention those too on the Jajo Classified. I'm going to come back and bring those in because I definitely have several choices for those guys. All right, so let's see. I finally moved off of Star Wars. Now we're going to go to WWE, and I got to get my guy, the Russian Nightmare, Nikita Koloff, because we've got so many 80s stars. We've got Dusty Rhodes, Shotota, Tony. I need Nikita Koloff, the Russian Nightmare. There's so many characters that I really, really want to have from Mattel, but I got to have Nikita. I have a 4 Horsemen in different forms. I got the Lex Luger version. So I got Lex, I've got Rick, Tully, and Arn. Even got JJ now. And I'm just one figure close. I'm one figure away from actually having the proper figures to do the original War Games. Now, I'm probably not going to use that NXT War Game set, but if I wanted to, I got 2 rings and I've got 2 cages, and I can put my Hell in a Cell cage top over it so I can have the full original look for War Games. But I need Nikita to complete this set, and I need him with the U.S. title. And we've even got a Magnum TA. We got the one from Mattel. We've got one coming from Powertown, and that's really exciting. It should be coming later this month, so I will be breaking those figures down for sure. But I need Nikita Koloff, and another reason I need Nikita that was another crazy tongue twister, is because my all-time favorite WCW match is the 1992 War Games Sting Squadron versus the Dangerous Alliance. Mattel is doing pretty good work in terms of getting a lot of those characters from that. We've got Stunning Steve now, we've got Rick Rude, got Arn Anderson, we've got Larry Zbyszko. Just one more figure needed from the Dangerous Alliance. And I guess we sort of have Medusa. We can just cobble together parts to make her more War Games era appropriate. We've got Paulie Dangerously coming. So I just need a few more characters. I got Ricky Steamboat. I've got a Sting, even though they never really made a great, perfect Surfer Sting. I need that Barry Windham from that era, Dustin Rhodes, and the Russian Nightmare, Nikita Koloff. So we absolutely need him. Ken, an Ultimate Edition Attitude Era Rock. They have one. He came out, I want to say wave 4 of the Ultimate Edition line, and really great figure. They actually have a newer one coming out from Target. He is coming right after this Bret Hart figure. And I think, if I'm remembering the live stream properly, he's going to have the tracksuit. So when he was getting his chest worked on, and he was rocking that look when he was fighting Mankind in the I Quit match, Royal Rumble, Halftime Heat, and St. Valentine's Day Massacre, that show, all 3 of those shows, when he was rocking that, when he lost the title to Mankind, you can have that, but you can slip that whole tracksuit off and have him in his default standard tights. I think it's a red Brahma Bull logo, but the Rock Attitude Era Ultimate Edition figure is really great. Comes with 3 great head sculpts, including the gritting one. He's got the hand gesture, so you can do the just bring it. Really cool figure. And I'm glad for everybody who missed out on the original one, because it's super expensive now. They can get this one with the tracksuit, so I'll be getting that one also. What up, Chad? How we doing? All right, so let's see. Ski Raiders talking about more Old Republic figures. Yeah, those would be cool as well. There's a million Star Wars figures. I think Hasbro is just kind of like, maybe we get around to them. But come on, y'all. We could absolutely get those 100%. And JT or Jay the Grind Laparca. I feel like if they had thrown in Laparca into this WCW Nitro crowd fundraiser, that this thing probably would be funded already. I feel like the chairman of WCW would have got this thing funded, just like Macho Man did for the New Generation Ultimate Arena setup. But Laparca would be an amazing figure, and I think we'd have to have him with the Ultimate Edition articulation so he can do his dance, hold the chair, and play it, and then stand up and do the Karate Kid pose. We need Laparca. I'm really hoping that they can work through whatever licenses they have for that, but absolutely, yeah, the Ski Raider. The chairman rules, and I need a WCW Bret Hart so I can get my El Dandy figure as well, because there's so much stuff. And there's lots of figures. I understand the logistics for Mattel a little bit more than some of these other license holders, where it's like, you don't have to sign Kit Fisto to an exclusive deal. You don't have to worry about that. It's just everything you want to do from Star Wars is wide open. Anything that Storm Collectibles wants to do, because they're pulling up fighting game licenses that I've never heard of. And hooray for everybody who wants it. And I'm like, you guys need to finish Street Fighter, Tekken, and Mortal Kombat. And then you can do all the various versions of those games. All Psychosis. I love when those two teamed up. They're really fun. Psychosis with those horns. I was really upset when he came to WWE and he had taken the mask off. It's like, dude, but he's got such a great look, because I feel like Jax would have given us the Ultimate Psychosis figure from that era. So I've got him. I've got my Nikita figure so I can get my superpowers. Mattel is now giving us a stunning Steve Austin with the world's TV title belt. I don't know why they needed to call it the World TV belt, maybe because of the dream. But I've got a TV belt to go around Dusty's waist. I need Nikita so I can complete the superpowers, complete War Games 1, get us a little bit closer on the 92 version. But I'm also going to add, because we've seen Mattel's willingness to do 2-packs. If I have one choice for an Ultimate Edition 2-pack, it has to 100% be the Midnight Express. Or Jim Cornette would say, beautiful Bobby and sweet Stan, the Midnight Express. And these guys are the only ones to hold the U.S. tag team titles, the NWA world titles at the same time at that era. I know the Steiners did eventually, but these were the first. Beautiful Bobby and Sweet Stan were great. I had so many great matches. Swinging my Willie Rip LaParca. I love, yes, he was really fun. Like he had a cool look and he had good movesets in those games as well. Ski Raider, did you see that clip of Dusty Rhodes playing basketball and schooling fools? It's a short, it blew my mind. In public, if you will. Listen, I'm going through my wrestling tape collection, and right now I'm on 87, January 87. So Nikita and Dusty are former superpowers. Dusty's promos are just insane. He and Ric Flair are going back on promos every show, and it's just really great. I don't even need to see matches because those two are so entertaining. Robert said, yes, the Midnights and Rock and Roll would be epic. It was a real hard toss-up for me because you really can't think of the Midnight Express and then not think of the Rock and Roll Express and vice versa. I mean, if I had my wish, there'd be so many tag teams that I want to see completed. Doom, Steiner Brothers, hopefully still that's on the table. British Bulldogs, we get them completed. Powers of Pain, we get those guys completed. The Fantastics, finish the Freebirds, get us to David Von Erich so we can complete the third member of the Von Erichs, or just Mike Von Erich so we can get them one way or the other. But yeah, there's so many tag teams, so many great ones. And I know, again, it's part of the licensing deal. So whether it's from Mattel or from Powertown, I love to get some more of these classic tag teams knocked out. Yankee Frankie, what's up? Who do you think will be in the Powertown Wrestling Series 2? I think they've told us a good amount of those. I think the Blackjacks are going to be in there. I think Larry Henning is also mentioned. I thought they mentioned something about Greg Garner because he's, part of the guys running the line. Vern and Greg. I assume we'll see some more Von Erichs because we got Kerry, and I assume Kevin holds licenses or is a partner with them with his likeness. So hopefully Kevin and David or Mike. I don't think we need Lance, but those other two or other three would be great. We definitely need a Jim Cornette with the tennis racket. He's been at WWE Hall of Fame, so I guess they don't hate him and he doesn't hate them. I feel like we have to get those three from Mattel because those guys in Ultimate Edition form, like I would pay whatever I needed to for a Build-A-Figure set. If Jim Cornette was a Build-A-Figure, we could have him with different jackets like they did with Jim Cornette or Jimmy Hart. The tennis racket, the whole deal. But the Midnight Express are essential. They're top 4 tag teams. Like for me, it's the Hart Foundation, the Midnight Express, the Steiner Brothers, Tully and Arn. And then I guess from a modern era, you throw in Edge and Christian, but the Midnight Express are right there. And I don't know if any of you guys have ever gone to my website and seen my March bashness. I wasn't up to speed to doing the full tournament this time, but I take tag teams that Mattel, that Jazzwares have made, Jazzwares with the AEW line, put them into a tag team tournament just in time for March Madness and have everybody vote to see who advances to the next round. I absolutely put the Midnight Express as a number 1 seed whenever they get done. And, looking back, Jax actually came through with this. They had released the Midnight Express, and I think they did a pretty decent job with Bobby Eaton. I don't think that Stan likeness is all that great, but yeah. And Roberts, yeah, Demolition is another. I'm trying to figure out what the status is with those lawsuits because we did get a version of them and it's really good. And I love those figures. I thought they held up really well. And I was kind of hoping at least Barry Darsow would be down to come back because after watching all this old 80s NWA, I need a Crusher Khrushchev figure. I need Ivan Koloff so I can get another one of those great 6-man tag teams from the NWA with the Russians, the dreaded, feared Russians, the 6-man champions. Those guys were running roughshod over the NWA, and Nikita was a killer back then. Really love that trio. So hopefully we get Barry Darsow back in line. I know another company just showed some Hasbro retro style figures of Demolition, so maybe we can get them through them. Hopefully they'll do 6-inch versions of Demolition. They have an original look, old school look for them, but different paint jobs, painted face jobs for Demolition would definitely make me double dip and get some more versions of Demolition. Ski Raider, if we get Macho, we'll get Cornette, especially if we get our homie Rick Steiner. Yeah, I really hope that there's not going to be any issue, but I think Mattel's lack of, we cancel this figure, you're not getting them, is a hopeful, optimistic sign. Rick Steiner can just go like this for a little bit longer so we can get that figure and get some classic Steiner brothers, maybe even a Varsity Club era Rick Steiner. That would be awesome and great. And yeah, Willie, no, seriously, I 100% want to Strike Force because Tito Santana, Rick Martel were a great tag team. Kind of came out of nowhere as the team that beat the Hart Foundation. But yeah, I would love to see them. I mean, we basically have a Strike Force version, Tito Santana Legends figure anyway. We just need to complete the team. That was the one thing I was kind of upset about when we got the model and they didn't make the Strike Force version. That's why when they did all the various versions of Fred Ottman, I was like, you guys learned your lesson here. Because I wanted the model, of course, but I need a Strike Force version of Ricky Martel as well. Kelly Cox. Yeah, we're going to get to DC on those of Brainiac, Metallo, Toyman. Lots of really great figures from DC. And I don't know if McFarlane is going to skew classic enough for my interest. I'm getting those old school figures and the cool Rebirth ones based off of books that I enjoy reading. So Titans, I'm going to grab those. But my sweet spot is 70s, 80s, 90s for those characters and trickling into the 2000s. But yeah, you get Brainiac, Metallo, and Toyman. They'd be really fun. And absolutely Strike Force. So another Strike Force fan. And I've got to show you guys this. Tito Santana actually used one of my pictures. I had him fighting Greg the Hammer Valentine on his Facebook. I was like, whoa, mind absolutely blown. That was really cool to actually see a legend, the Ariba Man, actually finding one of my photos and using it. So that was really cool. But Strike Force for sure. And Strike Force is one of those teams that if you're a collector of WWE figures, really helps you complete the tag team lineage that we've gotten so far. So we have the Hart Foundation. Strike Force is needed. Then we get Demolition. We've got them. Then we've got the Brain Busters. We're a King Haku away from the Colossal Connection. Then we get Demolition, of course. We've got Crush. So we've got that version of them. Hart Foundation again. The Nasty Boys. The Legion of Doom. So there's just a few teams, maybe even just a few tag team members away from getting a real complete set of WWE tag teams for a really long period of time. Yeah, Robert. I mean, that's my sweet spot. I'm sure you can tell, but I think they just did really great comics back then that had me excited about reading everything. And now it's like there's some good books like Batman and Superman World's Finest. If you're not reading it, highly, highly recommend. It feels like a 70s, 80s, 90s title. Mark Waid, Dan Moore are really putting that together. It is a great read. But yeah, Jeremy Adams' run on The Flash. If you have not read that, I recommend going all the way back to when Joshua Williamson started on the book, when they kicked off DC Rebirth, and then through his entire run, and read all of Jeremy Adams stuff, because it is one of the best runs, pun intended, of The Flash ever. And if you're a fan of that character, if you're a fan of Barry Allen and Wally West, you absolutely have to read those. Yankee says, do you think we'll get a Marty Jannetty Rock and Roll Express, Midnight Express, Buff Bagwell, Jumping Bomb, Angels, Crush, Bryan Adams, Demolition, and the Killer Bees figures? So let's see. I think Marty has a lot of stuff going on right now, and I don't think Mattel or WWE is going to touch him. They did release a figure of him. I have no idea how expensive that figure is. Let's see here. Why don't we do a little Googling and find out what a Marty Jannetty figure is going to run us these days. Because I feel like he's ridiculously expensive, but let's see. Oh my gosh. Yeah, a little bit expensive. But if you have $120 to spare, wait a second. This one has them for $40. So I think he's probably not going to be a figure that you can get from Mattel, but that likeness, that head sculpt was really good. And if you want more versions of him, like I would have happily grabbed a few more versions of the Rockers in different color combinations, but there's an option, so you can still get him. The Rock and Roll Express, I hope so. I mean, there's no reason that we can't get Ricky and Robert, the real R&R Express, in figure form. Again, that was another set that Jax did, but I don't know who was sleeping at the wheel at Jax at that time, because they gave Robert blonde hair and Ricky the dark black hair. It's like, what are y'all doing? So that kind of messed those two up. But I don't see any reason why we can't get those two. They haven't done a whole lot, but they haven't gotten any trouble. They've been great model citizens, and they're still pretty active. So I think that it wouldn't be a big deal. I think Mattel were like, hey, WWE, we really like to get the Rock and Roll Express. I don't see them being a real problem compared to some other guys that may be a bit more questionable. Midnight Express, definitely hope we get to see them. I don't see, again, a problem with those guys. They should get to figure form. Mage, what's up, man? How we doing out there from Nashville, Tennessee? So yeah, Buff Bagwell, I hope so. I mean, to me, the NWO proper stopped when Vicious and Delicious came in. And of course, I'll take Macho Man and Kurt Hennig. But I really like when they had Vicious and Delicious as the warm-up tag team before anybody got to the Outsiders. I really love that. And I thought Buff was tremendous in that role. And we got Big Papa Pump now, so maybe there's some incentive for Mattel to go ahead and sign Buff because he was basically his road dog, his tag team partner for much of that NWO run. And Buff has the advantage of being in NWO red and black too. So maybe I'd love to see him. I wouldn't even mind an American Males, the Stars and Stripes version, and the Too Cold Scorpio tag team version. Lots of Marcus Bagwell, Buff Bagwell figures that I would pick up and happily get. Jumping Bomb Angels. Well, Bill McKenna is a real big fan of Japanese wrestling. So maybe there's the push because I feel like the second he could get them to the line, we see them pretty quick. I just don't know if Mattel would think those are viable, at least in terms of going to WWE and getting them made in a figure form. So probably not great considering we're still begging and pleading for the great Muta. I don't understand why we still don't have him in figure form, especially now that he's part of the WWE Hall of Fame. He's got to be on their radar. So maybe this time next year I won't be the same. Where's Muta? I'll just have him in my figure collection, teaming up with Terry Funk, going against Ric Flair and my terribly put together Surfer Sting. Crush Brian Adams. They did do a Crush. They did Demolition Crush. And again, like Fred Ottman, I wish they had tackled all the different versions of Crush right away. So we get the Nation of Domination, Jailbird version of Crush. Could have had Kona Crush. My favorite version of him, Evil Crush, the team with Yokozuna and Mr. Fuji. I really loved that part of his career. And of course, there's the Chronic version of Brian Adams. Lots of versions of him. I guess there's an issue because he's a character that would stretch across several different generations for a figure and be worth Mattel signing because there's so many different interpretations of him they could do. Demolition, I don't think the odds are really good on them. Like I said, another license holder seems to have them locked up right now. Killer Beast, absolutely need to get those with cloth removable masks or separate head sculpts. Swappable head sculpts of B. Brian Blair and Jumpin' Jim Brunzell, one of the best drop kicks in the history of wrestling. But yeah, I don't think our odds on Marty are really good, so you're probably going to have to go to eBay on that end. Yeah, that would be fun. The Mech Lex Luthor. Yeah, they kind of have that version. He's got the side eyes. I think I like a little bit more classic Superpowers mech suit Lex, but the one they put out isn't bad. So I'm hoping we can see that. Willie also said, who would have the rights to release early ROH and ECW wrestlers in action figure form? Might as well about Glow too. Yo, I love Glow. That was so much fun to watch. And seeing Tina Ferrari go on to be Ivory in the WWE, get her big moment in Spotlight was really fun as a Glow, as a POW wrestling fan. I don't know how many of you all watched POW back in the day. Jay, The Grind, What About Me, The Raven. I gotta say I need ECW version of Raven more than WCW version because there's so many guys from ECW that I think really would warrant great figures, especially now that they're doing a bit more with the Ultimate Edition line. Right off the top of my head, I would need a Shane Douglas figure, the franchise. Chris Candido, so I can complete the triple threat. We've already got a great Bam Bam Bigelow. Let's finish that off. Taz, the Human Suplex Machine, both versions, the Savage one, the team with Sabu, and the Suplex Wreck Machine, Pissed Off of the World version. While I'm at it, Sabu, Sandman. I have a Tommy Dreamer that can fit. I just need to cobble up, but Yeah, I need Sandman, the Pitbulls, Bill Alfonso, because I'm going to make the choke slam legal tonight. 911. Yeah, Raven, Stevie Richards, Public Enemy, the Gangsters. Okay, you get it. There's so many ECW figures that need their due, and I would really, really, really love to see them start to trickle in a little bit more than we're seeing right now from Mattel. Yeah, we definitely need the soft goods, grunge flannel around the waist, and if they could possibly make this a reality, a Daredevil shirt, a Sandman shirt. I mean, I love that he was rocking those comic book T-shirts when he was out there sitting in the ring, looking all melancholy and moody. Love that. And then, of course, I gotta have come out and play every time I open up my Raven and put him in action with my ECW figures. Do we need an update for episode 1 Maul from Black Series? I think they would not have a problem selling that figure. I feel like they've done so many different versions of Darth Maul, except for the one that's like really expensive that a lot of collectors missed out on or sold because they were assuming we were going to get a better version of him down the road, which we still haven't. So he's a really good call for a figure that could probably be done all over again. I'm kind of wondering if this new Gaming Greats figure with a black cloak could be a reasonable stand-in for that version of episode 1 Maul. There's different versions from the Clone Wars that I like to see too. So I feel like there's lots of different versions of Darth Maul that we can still get in figure form and I wouldn't be upset about. Robert said someone mentioned an idea for Doom, release Ron Simmons with a masked head, but you can do, yeah. I am upset that we still don't have a Butch Reed because Doom is one of my favorite tag teams. They're the only team crazy or tough enough to fight the Road Warriors and the Steiner brothers at the same time. That was crazy to me. I mean, I had watched the Road Warriors for so long. Like, these guys are the toughest dudes all over. The Steiners were just suplexing dudes on their heads and just ridiculous. Funny thing about Doom, when they were still rocking the mask, my cousin and I were talking. He said, "You know who that is, right?" I said, "No, it's Ron Simmons and Butch Reed." I was like, "Well, how do you know that?" He was like, "They're the only 2 black dudes in the company." I'm like, "Well, I mean, there are other black dudes in wrestling. Why would it just be those 2?" Of course, when they unmasked, it was like, "Ha!" And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, he was right." Because I'm thinking, well, there's got to be other big black dudes out there that they could be a tag team. But they weren't. And when they unmasked, they really became great. And Doom would make for awesome figures. And I need to have Teddy Long with the do-rag behind him, rocking the NWA tag team titles, because Doom rules, baby. All of these wrestling figures would work and need to happen. Yeah, and it's funny because I feel like Mattel is really trying, but their hands are tied because of the licensing. There's only so many figures they can do. So that's why we're seeing so many repaints, different characters from the same wrestlers all this time. And I feel like that was maybe the one disappointing thing with WrestleMania Access reveals. We didn't see a lot of first time in the line figures. We did see the Godly Gooker, which was ridiculous and really fun and cool. But yeah, there weren't all these new figures that I was hoping to see. Hopefully, we can knock out some of those at San Diego Comic-Con so I can start checking off some of these figures off my list. You all clearly want to see some fun figures too. And Yankee Frankie absolutely cannot forget Too Cold Scorpio. I remember that match where he debuted in WCW, Ron Simmons in the Ghetto Eye Street fight against Tony Atlas, the Barbarian, and Cactus Jack. When he did that 450, my mind was blown. Like, oh my gosh, I need this guy in figure form right away. And I wanted 2 Cold Scorpio, and I also want the ECW 2 Gold Scorpio as well, because 2 Cold was really, really cool. And literally one of the greatest moments of my life was an ECW show and Sandman's entrance walked right past me from the crowd. That's cool. I attended an ECW show when it was way too late. So it was like the late 90s. So it was like Mike Awesome, Kid Cash, that era, Tanaka. So it wasn't a classic vintage version of ECW, but yeah, I really loved that ECW show. And it was like in this corner bingo halls type place. It was not glitz and glamour like the WCW or the WWE shows that would come by in my area, but everybody worked really hard. It was like, man, this is ECW. So cool to see this in person. And you're right. Too Cold could work because he did show up in Monday Night Raw as part of the Job Squad. I don't need a Flash Funk, but I need Too Cold Scorpio with the rips in the tights. I mean, I need a Too Cold Scorpio in figure form. Dude was awesome. Ski Raider, the new Monday Night Wars Walmart line. They need to start dropping these fire ECW figures. Yeah, because I mean, they were kind of around at that time, and I feel like they really influenced both combatants in the Monday Night Wars. And being so influential, you got to think that Mattel is just waiting for the all clear to start cranking out ECW figures. So I don't think it's an accident that we haven't seen a whole bunch of them. I just think Mattel is like, nope. Or WWE is like, nope, you're not getting Salmon, you're not getting Sabu. I mean, I want the Pitbulls just because of their role at that time in ECW. But yeah. And Robert, oh yeah. Doom did their thing, and they had such a great run. They beat everybody they put against them. They're the longest reigning NWA tag team champions. They fought the Steiners, the Road Warriors. They fought the Rock and Roll Express. They fought Sting and Lex Luger. They fought the Freebirds. I don't get that last one too much credit, but they fought two different teams of Four Horsemen, Ric Flair and Arn Anderson. Arn Anderson and Barry Windham, and came out beating all of those teams. And that is a crazy track record that stretches so many Hall of Fame teams. And they came out ahead. You know, they were moving Ron Simmons up. So that's the only reason they had them losing to the Freebirds. But I feel like their reign could have lasted even longer because they just wiped out all the possible tag teams that went up against them. And Power Town is viable. I would love to see what they do. I really want to get my hands on those first series figures because I want to see the articulation and to see how they match up with the Mattel figures, like if they're a perfect matchup or if it's a deal of, oh, they're slightly too small or, oh, they're a little bit too big. So if nothing else, those head sculpts look really good and I can just transplant them onto WWE Ultimate Edition figures, especially since so many of the characters that Power Town is doing don't have really complicated attire. They're just wearing trunks and we can work them in really easily. Let's see. Yeah, Doom and Teddy Long. I need those for sure. Jazz Wears Rocks. I want to see more of those Legends, the Luminary collections. I mean, I felt like when they got the line, they were promising, hey, we're going to show you guys all these Legends. And I was kind of like, well, how far can you go with the Legends? Because what I really want is Surfer Sting. And AEW grabbing my boy Sting right before my version of the Crow Sting came out really hurt. But they've never done a Surfer version of Sting. I feel like they should have been able to do a UWF style, but we haven't seen anything from him. We seen that old school version of Jericho, but definitely not enough. I got on a tangent for a while back. So whoever has the ROH line is Jazzwares. So they have the ability to make ROH versions of CM Punk. They showed a prototype, and if the rumors are to be believed, he might be coming back, so that figure might be back on the table. I think that was a Supreme Collection figure, so who knows what kind of different swappable parts they'll have, but he is definitely an option, which would be really great. I was excited about getting CM Punk version, or ROH version of CM Punk. That would be fun, because that's what he rocked in the early days of TNA as well. But I would imagine and hope they do the Briscoe brothers from that ROH style as well. Jeremy mentioned, hey, who would you like to see in the ROH line? So I think that's opening up the possibility for old school versions. I would imagine and assume that Samoa Joe would definitely be one. Christopher Daniels should be another option as well. So there are lots of characters who are viable and open on the ROH line and just need Jazzwares to actually get going with them. Let me see here. So I'm making sure I didn't miss anything on this. I got the old bingo hall. Wish there was. I was there with Van Dam versus Sabu in the stretcher match too. Wow, you got to see some really good shows there. Only Fed, I saw more Smoky Mountains. I'm in that part of the country. So I didn't see much of anything of Smoky Mountain. But every time I was reading the magazines, I was like, oh, this sounds really cool. And I think when I was buying videotapes back in the day, I was choosing between ECW and Smoky Mountain. I was like, well, ECW sounds cooler. They've got Shane Douglas. They got Ron Simmons. They got Cactus Jack. I know these guys, and it's Rock and Roll Express too old. But then the Gangsters came, and they went over to ECW. So I was like, okay, I'm just stick with them. But I really am going to go scour through YouTube and all over to try to find some Smoky Mountain stuff because I heard they had really good matches too. All right, so let's see here. Yankee Frankie asks, when are the Power Town Series 1 coming? Because I pre-ordered. So Power Town should have sent an email to everyone that ordered Series 1 or Series 2 that they have started to receive the shipments, or the shipments are on the way, and we should start to see those figures by the end of the month. So that's really encouraging, because they said, when they started, we're going to get these figures to you in April. So April's still on the table. And, even if it's really early into May, I'm glad they're updating us on it. So I'm really looking forward to seeing those figures to see if they're worth the investment. I got Magnum, I said Magnum twice. Magnum, Kerry Von Erich, Bruiser Brody, and Stan Hansen. So that's a good mix of characters. So I want to see how they turn out. And hopefully I'll be begging for Series 2, Series 3, Series 4, etc. Because I'm really hoping that they did a great job with this. ROH definitely needs figures. AJ Styles, Teddy Hart, Briscoe, Samoa Joe, Nigel McGuinness. Now, Nigel just signed with AEW, so he's another option. I don't think we're going to get an AJ Styles until he leaves, but a Jay Lethal for sure. And Briscoe's got to get those guys in that figure line. All right, so I've been talking a lot about wrestling because it's really easy for me to start talking about wrestling. Let's go on to Marvel Legends. And I got to start here with my guy, Harry Leland. We've got most of the Hellfire Club. We've got Shaw, we've got Pierce, we've got Wingard, got Emma Frost. We've even got the Black Queen, Jean Grey herself. We need one more guy to finish up the original Hellfire Club. And I need Leland in this. There's so many characters from Marvel Legends. And it was like, well, where do I go with this? But this villain group is almost complete. And there's so many other teams that have one figure left to complete. But the Dark Phoenix saga, hands down, is my favorite comic book story of all time. Love the whole Byrne, Claremont, Cockrum run of X-Men. Like, that is the best. Then there's the Busiek Perez version of Avengers, the Johns JSA run, Johns Green Lantern run. There are a lot of good competition, but for me, that is the number one untouchable. The Byrne version of Fantastic Four is really good too, but this version of X-Men, this run, culminating in the Dark Phoenix saga, in the Hellfire Club being the ones to, literally pun intended, spark the flame, turning Jean into Dark Phoenix, is everything. And I could do that whole moment where Leland forgets his powers control gravity and he makes the dude with the adamantium skeleton heavier. Yeah. So I need to get him, because I got the rest of them. Still need to get Wingard, but I hate the color choices they use. I'm like, what are y'all doing? But yeah, so we need to get all of those guys into figure form, and Leland's the last one. And then I can go, well, now I need the 80s superhero costume looks for the Hellfire Club, because those were ridiculous. We got Celine, and I could use the super villain versions of the Hellfire Club to go with the Nimrod, and then to fight the X-Men, the 80s punk version. So I need that Colossus in the red and white vest. I've got Shadowcat now. I need Rachel Summers. But yeah, this is my one choice if I got to have just one solo figure. And I'm really kind of hedging my bets here, saying I need that one. And Kelly, for sure, I don't understand why we didn't get Leland. I mean, we have 4, and we've seen Hasbro put out 5 packs of figures all the time. I don't know why we didn't get Wingard and Leland in the set as well. When they teased it, I said, well, clearly we're going to get the full Hellfire Club. It's not like a box set of the Avengers where there's 50 characters and it's like, well, good luck. It's a small team, and they could have gotten all of them in one shot. And I've been totally happy and very ecstatic to get these great villains in figure form. So then they could start doing other versions. We get Shirtless Shaw. We get Reaver's version of Pierce. Super villain costumes for Shaw and Leland. The Hound, we got Celine. That was really great to get her in that set too. But it seems like a missed opportunity. And I'm really worried that we're not going to get Leland because he's going to be too hard and they can't figure out a way to pack him. Maybe they'll do a 2-pack where we get Leland or Shaw without his shirt, because that would still fit in the Hellfire Club Dark Phoenix art, and we can include him that way. And Robert, absolutely, Dark Phoenix is my favorite as well. It's such a well-done story, and it's really one of those deals where you compare modern comics to that, where it was like they spent 30 issues setting and building that thing up. It's like, this is so amazing. Like all the little teases with Mastermind and with Cyclops seeing the silhouette of Mastermind. It's just these small little traces that lead up to this massive storyline. It's just one of the all-time best Marvel things they've ever done. And yeah, Jay, that is 100% the problem. I feel like if they really wanted to in a pinch, they could use most of the parts for Doc Ock and just sculpt over, maybe make a overlay for his jacket, and then kind of do something for his pants. I feel like he's the best starting block for Leland, because I feel like that's probably the reason they didn't do him. But it's not like we couldn't get some more bigger size characters that we could just make in a figure form, like maybe just some random mob boss dudes. But jeez. And Tom Finn, what's up? Yes, like that was my real issue for so long when I was hearing about the Briscoe. I was like, these dudes aren't wrestling. They're in WWE. One of the brothers is a stooge for Vince McMahon. What are you talking about with the Briscoe brothers? 100%. Robert, Days of Future Past is a close, and I mean very close second. See, I like that one, but I don't think it's. I think it's such a short run of stories where it's like 2 issues, whereas Dark Phoenix takes such a long time to build up, like from the moment Jean sacrifices herself to the end game when she's sacrificing herself again to save the world from Dark Phoenix. Like it's such a great one, such a great storyline altogether. Whereas Dark Phoenix is like, just imagine if the mutants were all killed and captured by the Sentinels. It's a really cool story, but and it's one of those things where Marvel now is continuing to go back to it. Like they're doing solicitations now for Dark Days of Future Past all over again. It's like, come up with some new cool stuff that we want to read, not just rehashing the old great stories from back in the day. Miss Marvel Carol Danvers would be cool. I'd love to see her in figure form. They got her, my favorite look for her with that Warbird outfit. So I'm really happy and good, but I would love to get her because that costume is what she was rocking during the Korvac saga. And with all the additions to the classic Guardians of the Galaxy line or group, I kind of thinking like, okay, well, y'all are getting kind of close to getting the Korvac saga completed. I'll take her, and I'll take all the Guardians, the original school versions of those guys as well. 80s kids from the 90s, triathlon, for sure. Now, I'm sure you guys have seen me do a couple of videos where I've been hyping the good word of triathlon. He's got a great costume, and the colors really pop and would stand out from the rest of the Avengers. I think the only one you have to be worried about placing them close by is the Vision, but Vision wasn't around during that time. But man, Triathlon has such a cool look. Great colors, and I think he'd be a really fun figure to have with the Avengers and posing them up and all this stuff. Matter of fact, if we could just get a whole Perez Busick version run of the Avengers, I'd be ecstatic. Jay, I must have Marvel Legends figure. Oh, your one must have Marvel Legends figures, the X-Men Arcade Syndrome. Yeah, that would be really fun. I feel like that's like a 2-pack they could do, just like the row of Sentinel drones and just have it. Would be all great because they're really close to knocking out all those figures from the arcade. And yeah, that'd be fun to see. Ski Raider, one of Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. wave. I don't understand how we got through so many seasons of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and we just got that Coulson figure. Like, I did not understand it. The show went on for a long time. We even got a Hot Toys figure with the Ghost Rider, but we never got May, didn't get Ward, Fitzsimmons, Daisy, Quake. I mean, it was like, what are you doing? And then it's just so many characters, and it's just like, good grief. Of course, I got Mac and Yo-Yo and Grant. See, I like Ward right before they made him Hive because they're like, you killed off the show's best villain. And anyway, but yeah, they were really good. And I really wish they had made those figures because Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. it took a little while to get going, but once it did, it was a really fun and really great show. I enjoyed it. Jay says, if it goes on sale, I might buy that 5 points for articulation Sentinel they put out last year. I'm pretty sure that I've seen it on sale. I feel like during that last Pulse sale, they did have it on sale. Because I think it's $25, which is a little bit much. And, as always, check Best Buy because they sneakily put out lots of Marvel Legends on sale. So you can get them on that end too. Yankee Frankie. We also need UWF. Ugh, do not get me started so much. I need a classic Mid-South version Ted DiBiase, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Dr. Death, Missing Link, Old School Coco Beware, Hot Stuff, Hyatt International, WCW Freebirds, Garvin and Hayes. Yeah, And I really want like the 89 version of Garvin Hayes while they were still in shape and putting on pretty good matches. Now when they started get a little fat and happy and not really doing much in their matches. But when they first teamed up in 89 and won that tag team tournament against the Midnight Express, that was my version of the Freebirds. Yeah, Pally. Tom. Original Thunderbolts, New Warriors, and Inhumans are small teams too. Oh, seriously. I was just counting this up earlier today. The New Warriors need 4 more members. It's Justice, it's Namorita, Silhouette, and Turbo if you really want to go that far. The Thunderbolts, Atlas, Jolt, Meteorite, and Fixer or Tech. 4 members there. I hate when they start these teams and then go, yeah, we'll get to them later. Then Humans really need love. We still need Crystal, Karnak, Gorgon, Trigon, Lockjaw. So there's 5 a little bit more, but those teams should be completed because they started those so long ago. And of course, we can't forget about the teams that just need one more team member to get completed. So the second version of X Factor with Wolfsbane, X Force with Feral. So, I mean, these are teams that are really small and really easy to knock out. I'd say the first X Factor in their second attires, Jean Grey with that red and yellow outfit, and Beast. And my idea for him is to take off, make swappable hands so we can have the human hands, the Beast hands, swappable head so we can get the Beast head and then the human head, because that brown and yellow outfit was really cool. And I love to see that. And we've got the blue and white Cyclops so we can finish and knock out the whole team. Have I looked at Animal Warriors of the Kingdom? Yeah, they do look cool. Let me know what you think of those figures, because I'm trying so hard not to get any more figure lines because I'm trying to figure out where the heck I'm going to put anything else at this point. But they look really well done and really cool. So let me know what you think of them. Tom Finn says, we still need a good Terry Gordy and Buddy Roberts. Absolutely. I was really surprised when they did that Michael Hayes and didn't have Gordy and Buddy right away or coming up really soon. Because I'm like, dude, you did Michael P.S. Hayes. We need Buddy Jack. We need Bam Bam. It's only 3 Freebirds. And I don't understand why you would bother if you can't get the rest of them. What we don't need is a PN News figure. Yo, baby, yo. What are you talking about, Yankee Frankie? I would buy a PN News figure just so I could have him lose to my Stunning Steve as he's defending his TV title. His raps were so bad. He made Mo from Men on a Mission look good. Namorita, absolutely. She'd be a great figure. Speedball is Penis. That's a tough one. I really love the New Warriors. Like when I was reading them, it was like, oh man, a new book. Because when I started reading comics, the X-Men, the Fantastic Four, the Avengers were so long established. So it was really cool to me to see a team like the New Warriors, to see X-Force, to see X-Factor form the Thunderbolts, where I was getting in from the ground floor with issue 1. And I really like Jokey Happy Speedball. And when they dragged him down for the Civil War, and that's one of those rare cases where I think the movie actually did it better, because Civil War was going in crazy directions in the comic book, killing off Black Goliath. I was like, what are y'all doing? Reed Richards and Hank and Iron Man wouldn't be doing all this crazy stuff, but the storyline went all over. Penis does have a cool design. I think it'd be a pretty good figure for fans of him. Yeah, that's true, Robert. Days of Future Past is really good in the bubble. And yeah, I mean, it's a good story. I'm definitely not gonna be wrong on that, but I think that's kind of skewed a little bit more to Fall of the Mutants, Mutant Massacre, Inferno as my next to or underneath Dark Phoenix Saga storylines for the X-Men. Kang with the Time Chair and Scarlet Centurion. Well, maybe we could do an Immortus and Scarlet Centurion 2-pack, because I feel like that Kang they delivered is one of the best Marvel Legend figures. I don't know how they could improve on it. I really love that figure. I think it's really great. But we do need those other versions of Kang. And I'm a little bit worried now with all this stuff going on with Jonathan Majors, if they're going to kind of dial down Kang a bit. And does that mean we won't get these Scarlet Centurion and Mortis, the different Kang variants? Or we're just going to have to miss out on that? Kelly says, for me, the Legacy Virus is a personal favorite. What Colossus did almost made me cry. That's why Peter's my favorite. Yeah, I think that at that point, they were like, all right, who are we going to kill off at this point to make this event mean something? And I started to get a little bit jaded because I felt like, yeah, you guys are just killing off characters now. and that's going to be your hook for the story. I thought Legacy Virus was pretty interesting though, and I kind of like the idea of a killer mutant virus. So yeah, that was definitely fun. Tom Finn, I'd probably say Crystal for my last Marvel Legends figure. It would either be her, Namorita, or Atlas, depending on what day you ask me. I know I'm kind of the same way where it's like, hey, it's Friday. I think I want Banshee. Well, I mean, you guys clearly know I want Banshee, but I figure now they've got the figure, they've got the buck made, and it's just a matter of repainting him finally so I can get Banshee because that's my number one figure at this point. But yeah, Crystal would be good because she could help out with the Fantastic Four, the Avengers, and the Inhumans. So she's got a lot of uses that would work for her as a figure. The Namorita, I mean, they only have a few more members of the New Warriors, and Atlas would be an absolutely cool figure. Great build a figure. Now they're starting to do more 12-inch figures. He would be really fun to see in that form. Hot Banana Water, an updated Wrecking Crew box set. 100%, because I love my Marvel Legends collection. I don't know how many of you guys just kind of look at your figures and like, yeah, that's really great. They did a really good job on this figure. But the Wrecking Crew just makes me cringe every time I see them because they're so big. They're so oversized and they just don't fit in with everybody else. So I need them not just scale down. I need them classic look. I need them how they were in Secret Wars because that was my introduction to those guys. And I think those looks are just better than these modern versions of the characters. And I think if you want the modern version, you kind of got that with those giant versions of those guys in Marvel Legends, but I need a classic old school version of those guys. 80s kids from the 90s. Heroic Age Thor, yes, because I think they did that back with the Return of Marvel Legends, but he, like the Wrecking Crew, is way too big, way too tall, doesn't scale properly with everybody else now. Ronin, yeah, that's surprising. They haven't done him yet. Wasp and Yellow Jacket. And Yellow Jacket would be nice. Oh, yeah. Like Wasp, I feel like we're going to see a new version of her with the 60th anniversary of the Avengers, Beyond Earth's Mightiest. She's a no-brainer. I'm still waiting to see what this HasLab is. I mean, I feel like we've gotten a tease. It's going to be the Avengers. It's going to be Giant Man. And you got to have at least one Wasp in that set. So I'm hoping we see her in that. I'm saving aside my money because that for sure is getting purchased by me. But yeah, so I'm hoping we see her too. I thought worst case, yeah, the Animal Warriors would work. And we do have a high evolutionary. So my buddy just posted that Ollie's now has the Fantastic Four Classic figures for $7.99. And so if you've missed out on them, that's your opportunity to get them. I thought the line, that whole set of figures was really good. So you get that high evolutionary for $7.99, you have definitely won. Kelly Cox was really excited when they announced Speedball, but talk about a lump of coal, their figures. Yes, like I don't know how they botched that figure so much. He's too tall and he doesn't have a big smile on his face. I mean, that is the character. And, you know, when David Nakayama's doing the packaging art, I feel like every time he knows exactly what the figure should look like, what the character, the spirit of the character is. And the Hasbro sculptor is kind of like, yeah, we're going to do this one panel that made him look totally different. That's the one we're going to use for our figure. But yeah, I really wanted to see him. And I think they really dropped the ball huge on that figure. Classic Nick Fury. Yeah, we do need a new updated Nick Fury. I mean, we got the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents. We probably need a new Dum Dum Duggan too. We got Quake / Maria Hill. We do need a better version of Nick Fury because my figure is really janky with a chest joint. So I need him for sure. An updated Nightcrawler, James. What's up? What would you want to see with the Nightcrawler? Because I really thought they did a nice job with that figure. Like, what would make that figure better? The Kirby style Machine Man. What's up, Keith? Yeah, I'm curious where they could package him to sell him as a figure because I really like that original Machine Man they did, and he's a great looking figure. I love the accessories they included with him. I felt like they actually cared and put some effort into that one. So I'm curious what you'd like to see with that Kirby one too. A classic and unbeatable Squirrel Girl. What's up, Green Man? I think that Scooter version was good too. It's funny with Marvel Legends. There's so many versions of characters. It's like they did that one, but I want a better version of it. Kree soldiers and more scrolls. More scrolls without a purchase limit because I got all 5 that I could on Hasbro Pulse and was like, I want more. I know with the different swappable heads, I can put them on bodies of figures and have a massive scroll army, but I just want the default scrolls. And I don't know why they put a cap on those figures because I would have kept buying scrolls. And Kree soldiers as well. We still need those. I don't know about anybody else, but the only other options are those old versions from Hasbro, which weren't great figures. But yeah, I'd really like to see them. Nice. The Toy Biz Nick Fury. Yeah, that still holds up, which is kind of weird because he didn't even have the torso articulation, but it had an amazing head sculpt. Kind of like that Doctor Strange, where it's like the Hasbro version is good, but I think the Toy Biz one might be a little bit better. Tom Finn. Yes, yeah, the Wrecking Crew is one of the reasons I still have my Marvel Universe line. I think they did so many of those Secret Wars characters perfect. So I was like, yeah, I'll keep this line. And I sold that line once, and then I decided, what was I doing? It's crazy. Let me go buy them all over again. It's really dumb. But I have those figures, and a lot of them are the idealized versions of those figures. I feel like that 3.75 version of Hawkeye was better than all the ones we've seen of him so far. Hopefully this new one with the Sky Cycle is actually better. Pause. Okay, had to get a quick water break. So, updated Sabretooth. We definitely need a better Sabretooth. I feel like everyone have been very disappointing that we've gotten so far. If you did stop motion and could use any wrestling figure from any era, what two teams would you make a War Games match? Oh, boy, now that's an interesting one. I think an ECW set. Let me go real fast here. Who would I pick on that team? Franchise, Tommy Dreamer, Sandman, Raven. I want to say Sabu, but Sabu would be kind of limited in War Games. He do crazy stuff, so I put Sabu in there. So I'd have them go against Hogan, Hall, Nash, Austin, Rock. That would be how I'd do that up. So that'd be my War Games for any two teams that are stop motion. Raymond Chung, what's up? Proper the spot. I gotta imagine now that he's got a figure, he's in Across the Spider-Verse, we're going to see the version of the spot. It's probably just going to be a little bit longer because they got to sell this version that we got in figure form now. Hopefully it'll be a situation like GOG where we got the movie version, we get the comic book version not too long afterwards. But yeah, I got to assume we'll get him soon. Yeah, there were so many shortcuts with that Speedball figure that I feel like they really didn't do a good job. Can of Beams has that effect with the bubbles, and I thought that was really fun and cool. There's so many missteps with him, and I really hope that they don't do the same issues that they have with Speedball, Namorita, with Justice, Marvel Boy, if you will, and Silhouette, because I need my classic New Warrior team all done. The David Hasselhoff version of the Nick Fury. Yes, the Hoff Fury. That would be fun. And I kind of wish they would do more of those old classic ones, like that bootleg version of the Fantastic Four with the all out of order Fantastic Four deals. Robert, thanks for hanging out with me, man. I appreciate it. My favorite style is Secret Invasion and Kang Dynasty for comics. Yeah, that would be really good and really cool. Keith, you broke down the Kirby Machine Man. How's your buck? Yeah. Proper mid-limb, extending arm, and alternate faces head. Yeah. Classic Kirby style. That would be fun. I got you. Crossbones and Bucky. Now, did you not like the Crossbones figure they put out? Because I thought that one's really good. For sure, we need a better Bucky. And because that one that Hasbro started off with was really underwhelming and really bad head sculpt and bad buck for Bucky. But yeah, I'd like to see him too. Jay Woods, what's up, guy? Mandarin Wizard and Classic Magneto from Acts of Vengeance. Hey, I've forgotten all this time I've been going on that I have another set because I'm cheating with my Marvel Legends and I need a 2-pack. And that 2-pack is 100% these guys. The rest of the Frightful Four, the Wizard, Chopster, aka Pastepot Pete. Definitely need to get these two because, again, it's another team that's basically complete in Marvel Legends form. It's only 4 of them. So there's no excuse that we shouldn't get these two. And I mean, for real, the Wizard, Pastepot Pete, Sandman, Medusa. I love the way they were going back and forth with the Fantastic Four. They were a really cool mirror version of a hero team. And I love this cover here. Everybody's rocking their purple. I wouldn't complain about getting Medusa with the mask and just the Wizard. I mean, he's fought the Fantastic Four. He's fought Johnny Storm. He's been treated as a big-time villain. So, yeah, I don't see any reason why we can't get these two in a 2-pack to complete it. Even if we got to wait till that Fantastic Four movie finally comes out to get them. But I hope we get those guys in figure form for sure. Yeah, I mean, after we got the Stan Lee figure, I think that Marvel really or Hasbro really needs to do a Jack King Kirby figure as well, because that doesn't make any sense to not get him. It'd be fun to have those two sitting on a bench watching all the action unfold in any diorama. Like, look, guy, that's great. So, Bruce, Fear Itself versions of characters. Fear Itself was a little bit past the time I was keeping up with Marvel. But which figures would you want on there? Ryan, what's up, man? How you doing? So yeah, Loston, what's up? Well, the party's still going, so you're never too late here. I don't know what they can do with Medusa. I think she is so tricky because her hair has to be plastic. They can't do anything around that. It can't be like, hey, we got Barbie hair on this one figure. But of course, if you make her hair as massive as it should be, then she's going to be this towering, leaning tower of pizza figure that's always falling backwards or falling and knocking over everything else on your display. The more classic version one that they did, this is a Walgreens exclusive, is better than the box set version with no mask. Was kind of weird, but I don't know what they could do, and I'm really curious how they could make that work. We saw with the zombie Scarlet Witch hair up in the air. Again, she was really hard to stand. I really would want to figure out what they could do to make that work, because articulated hair, I don't know, but I think they really could do a better version of Medusa. She's one. I'm totally at a loss for how they can improve on it. Traditional Hulk with blue jeans. Yeah, it's weird. We've gotten so many versions of the Hulk. I mean, we still need the Trunks version of him. Hulk could have so many different figures. We still don't have a proper Mr. Fix-It. We got the MCU-ish version or the Gamerverse version, but we still have that one that we need. We don't have a Smart Hulk. So I still have those versions from Toy Biz in my collection on my Hulk shelf. So we need to get those for sure. More symbiotes. Now, see, I did not know there are more of those guys left, because I'm not a huge symbiote guy, but man, we still need Hybrid, Sleeper, Scorn, and a Pat Mulligan Toxin. So yeah, I'm surprised they didn't finish them, because they did that 3-pack of those guys. So hopefully we'll get those eventually. Bendy wire hair. They're doing more stuff. They got the Doc Ock with bendable tentacles. So maybe I really wish there was a cool way to oh, of course, it's a no-brainer way they should do this figure, but I can't think of it. How about a Penance to have both versions of Speedball? So there's another person who wants Penance. I don't know. I mean, Penance is a cool look. Maybe if I could just separate in my mind that that's not Robbie, it's just a villain, maybe that would work out a little bit better for me. Lawson says, would love a Sandman in a green Kirby outfit. Yeah. So I saw that. I was like, that costume was crazy for Sandman, who doesn't even need a costume. But yeah, I mean, to get the Frightful Four versus the Fantastic Four would be my dream set for my Marvel Legends villain teams, because there were so many great stories with those teams. And that was another one that fed into a larger one. Medusa's finally reunited with the Inhumans. And yeah, so many great stuff from that run. That Lee Kirby run is another epic one. And that's one of those where it's like, you don't talk about great comic book runs without talking about them. Stingray, Jack of Hearts, and Gabriel Airwalker, all good choices as well. I think Stingray has such a great costume, and I'm so shocked that we don't have that figure yet. Jack of Hearts, also another great costume. I don't know how much reuse they could use, so maybe that's why we haven't seen him. And Gabriel Airwalker, I mean, we had all these different heralds from Galactus. Why are we still waiting on that one? We want the hair to be big on top. Give us a base for Medusa. Problem solved. Maybe so. Maybe that's the solution. And then, of course, she'd have to be a deluxe. So we have to wait till she hits clearance, and then we check her out later. But that could work. Yeah, like she should definitely, like back in the day when Toy Biz was doing them, for sure, if they had done Medusa, she would have like this elaborate base where it was just all her hair, and she could stand and pose in that base. That'd be really cool. Yeah, Fernando, that zombie Wanda is a train wreck of standing unless you have a stand for her. She's just killing everybody else on the shelf. A single release of Morg would be sweet. I think that would be sweet, but I think they will never release those HasLab figures, at least in those particular looks, standalone, because that's the lore. I mean, I know they've started to do that with the San Diego Comic-Con figures, but I think there's no way they release HasLab figures because that kills the value of the HasLab for people who invested. And we're like, well, we got to get it up to 8,000 backers so we can get this extra figure. So I don't think we'll see that. Maybe they could do some different version of Morg, a different look or whatever, but not the one that we got in that HasLab set. Comments to Cafe. At the moment, probably an original 1970s Miss Marvel, Punisher, Spider-Man, and for G.I. Joe. We're about to get to G.I. Joe. I'm losing my voice. So yeah. Definitely want to get that original Miss Marvel. That look was cool for her. Punisher, Spider-Man. Yeah. Kirby, Blastar. Yeah, for sure. I like the one I have, but yeah, basically Kirby version of anything for me is going to be a yes. I mean, Marvel Legends, Kirby, yes. Sign me up. Abomination. Yeah, the one I have is okay, but I could stand with a better version of him. 100% a new version of Annihilus. That is my embarrassing early Hasbro days. I feel like the figure isn't too bad. They could tweak the articulation, but I think he really needs a better paint job. And because he's a villain of a huge Marvel cosmic event, I think we need to get a new version of Annihilus anyway. Yeah. Updated Blade and Bishop. For sure on Bishop. I mean, for sure on Blade, but what would you update with Bishop? I thought that figure was pretty good. Like, I really like the Bishop figure, and I wish they had done Iceman a little bit smaller. From updating figures, I need an actual good version of Iceman because, geez, I fixed him yet. Yeah, Jay, if Marvel Select did Annihilus, that would fit because he's already bigger than the rest of them. That'd be fine. And you know Marvel Select would really knock that figure out. I'm still kind of thinking that Marvel Select Mr. Fantastic and Invisible Woman look really, really good. If their Human Torch and Thing look better, I for sure would get them, but I'm kind of like hedging my bets on those because those original Fantastic Four figures are a little dicey to me. Citizens and Generic Crooks. I feel like that's something that they should be doing on Hasbro Pulse where, hey, maybe this is a little bit too risky. Like, they've got a million suit bodies now. They could just make alternate heads and release them Civilian 1, Civilian 2 for $20 and people would buy them because I sure would. And with Generic Crooks, I think they should make the Enforcers. They look generic enough, and I could tailor them to fight Spider-Man, but they could also work as generic bad guys. I feel like they may be a little bit too old for people to go, especially the Hasbro team, because they kind of seem like they skew a little bit too modern with figures. And I need a Fancy Dan and, the whole crew. The Enforcers would be really fun to see in figure form. A few separate bending tentacles here. Yeah, I don't know what they would do, but yeah, I'm for sure with that. Classic Spider-Man with the bendy toes. Have they done that with the New Year Vows Spider-Man? I thought that new one was like the ultimate. I don't have that figure yet, but yeah. UFOs, my dream set of villains. Yes. There are a lot of Hulk villains that are suspiciously not out for us. Like, I don't understand why we don't have a Thunderbolt Ross. Like, why don't we not have him? But yeah, the UFOs for sure would be fun. I feel like that's where we could get another box set, maybe a Pulse exclusive where we don't have to worry about Target selling one of them. But hey, that's something they should use for the Pulse because that would absolutely work. Yankee Frankie, I did see those Impact Wrestling figures, and at $45 with no finished prototype look, I'm not buying them at all. And I feel like when you saw the Power Town Wrestling figures, they look way more impressive than the stumpy looking photos that they showed at the Impact figures. There's lots of characters from that Impact roster that I would want. Rick Steiner probably didn't want all of them, but I would think that for sure they could make better looking figures than those bad prototypes that we saw. I'm really hoping they look better because, again, I've went in on them. Crimson Dynamo. Yeah, for sure. I'm really happy that Marvel selected the Titanium Man because I don't need a Marvel Legends version. That figure is amazing. But I need a classic Crimson Dynamo that's more in scale, a little bit bigger than Iron Man. I don't need him super big like Titanium Man. Great figure. If you haven't picked him up, you really should. It's an awesome figure. And Vanguard, yeah, let's complete the Winter Guard. And UFOs for sure. Bruce. All right, let me see here. Fear itself gave, right, that was that deal. Right. Okay, yes. Thank you for reminding me because I was like, yeah, I think I saw a picture of that. Yeah, thank you for the reminder on that. For the X-Men 60th, Mesmero. Yeah, I want a classic Polaris too. I feel like there's still a lot of X-Men characters that I still need. Destiny, let's complete the Freedom Force, Brotherhood of Evil Mutants 2, and then the other 3 members of that Freedom Force crew as well. Walmart needs to stop playing. Yeah, Walmart, I hate when Walmart has any exclusive because I feel like it just takes forever to find them. And then when you do, it's like, oh my gosh, I wasn't expecting to actually see this figure. James, they have not done Johnny Blaze in his trench coat from the Sons of Vengeance or Midnight Suns era. I really think they should because I don't know what they're waiting on. I feel like they're always slow with Ghost Rider in general. And I'm sure the HasLab failure kind of extinguished some more interest from Hasbro in terms of making more Ghost Rider characters. But I feel like had they released more Ghost Rider figures in the past, there would have been more interest for that Robbie Reyes Hellfire Engine of Vengeance. A Lockjaw would be cool. Triton, Gorgon, Karnak. Yes, but do you want them in the ABC version of Inhumans or comic book style? Just kidding. Nobody watching Humans. Crystal, absolutely. Puppet Master Alicia 2-pack. Yeah, like that seems to make a lot of sense to me. And I don't understand. Like the Fantastic Four has so many villains. And I don't know if Hasbro's just saying the movie's coming, then we're going to bombard everybody with Fantastic Four, Diablo, Puppet Master, Mole Man. There's so many Fantastic Four villains, like so many. All they need to do is just read Omnibus 1. Wow. Omnibus 1 of the Fantastic Four, and they'd have like 40 different figures. Red Ghost and his apes. I mean, there's so many characters still left. Yeah, Kelly. They're not a good deal. A Green Hulk with a Bruce Banner with no shirt or torn shirt and torn purple pants, no glasses, 70s style. Yeah, that'd be fun. And Count Nefaria, 100%. Count Nefaria is the Marvel version of Superman, only he fights the Avengers. And I'm down for any Avengers villain who can take on the entire team, including Thor by himself. And Count Nefaria has such a cool costume with the cape and then the black attire and then the yellow, the red, and the white mixed in there. I really want him. Like he is, I had him on my list and I said, well, I can complete the Hellfire Club if I just say Leland. So that's the only reason because he absolutely would be a choice. 70s, Adam Warlock, Gamora and the Pip, the Troll 3-pack, the Infinity Watch crew. Yeah, that'd be fun. Like to see those guys as well. Dark Avengers, Carlos Oven. Now, I get on Brian Michael Bendis a ton, rightfully so, for everything he destroyed in DC when he came over. But I really liked his Avengers run, and Dark Avengers was really fun. I kind of didn't like the new Avengers as much, but that Dark Avengers run was really, really cool. And I buy figures on that entire team. We need a better version of the Iron Patriot, for example. But yeah, I'd grab those right away. Kelly says, I'm passing on all Hulk figures until he has butterfly shoulders to do his thunderclap. It's funny because the original Toy Biz version had those shoulders where you could do that. So it's kind of weird that we didn't get that with anyone so far. And Forrest is okay, I'm not the only one who would want those guys. Thank you so much. Jay, more Bring on the Bad Guys. Yeah, that should be a regular theme every year where we just get a wave of bad guys and hey, here's some more villains. D-listers like Nightmare, Plant Man, Jester. That would be fun. I guess we're kind of getting some of those with that Spider-Man box set because those aren't exactly heavy hitter villains. But yeah, we could always use more and more Serpent Society members. Finish off the Masters of Evil, Enforcers plus Black Mass. Was that his name? I feel like Black Mass is a DC villain. And of course, Foggy was his name. I don't know why I cannot remember who their leader was. He worked at the Daily Bugle, and I'm totally blanking. Help me out, guys. Spider Slayer Robot would be a great bath. Absolutely. We should. That's a weird thing that we haven't gotten at as a Build-A-Bear yet. Howling Commandos. Yes, Omega. I would love to see those guys as well. The Fernando. Thoughts on Scalpers real fast. Yeah, I think it's really interesting because I hope that you guys have hooked up with some area collectors where you can meet up because I do, and my friends in this area are invaluable to me. Like, hey, grab this figure in this store, or they'll pick up figures for me. I do the same thing. it really helps fight off the scalpers, people trying to make a quick buck selling figures that are high priced and in demand. But I think with these $25 price points, I haven't seen a lot of figures become scalper bait lately. I feel like figures are sitting on the shelves a little bit longer. Maybe it's just because people are like, I don't need to take the risk on a $25 figure. Why don't we have a new Doc Samson figure, Lawson? I don't understand. Like I said, there's so many Hulk figures, so many Fantastic Four figures that it seems like we need more of these guys. And Hasbro is just kind of like, no, we're good. We're going to re-release other figures. We're going to make an updated version on so-and-so. So, I don't know. Normal Joes like Jarvis, Aunt May, Ben Parker, Gabe Jones, Irvin Forbush, Alicia, etc. Yeah, I think your idea with pairing them up with characters that would sell a pack, like they're doing with the animated Aunt May and Doc Ock, I feel like we could get the comic book suit wearing Doc Ock with an Aunt May. That would work. Ben Parker and Aunt May could also work. Robbie Robertson, who do we pair him up with? Anyone. Maybe an updated tombstone for everybody who missed out. But yeah, that was cool. And I love to see more civilians because they're the fabric of the Marvel universe. And we need people to run away in terror when Juggernaut's charging through the town. And Lost in, where's the ball, the Brave figure? Listen, they made 4 Thor movies, and for some reason, we never got a Balder. We never got the Warriors 3. Not even the MCU versions, which was really crazy to me. Heimdall. There's so many more Asgardians, and for whatever reason, they always kept them with just movie figures. Like this last one, Love and Thunder, that wave really would have worked a lot better for me if instead of the Guardians, they put in comic book versions of the Warriors 3. Instead of who's the Build-A-Figure in that wave? I don't even remember, but if they just made Volstagg the Build-A-Figure and put Balder in as the other regular member, I would have bought those MCU versions of those figures no problem, because that's the way to sucker us in, right? So yeah, it's really weird. Secret Invasion comic was so awesome. How Marvel MCU pull it off without the Avengers? It's weird because I'm kind of figuring out who are these characters going to be in this thing. I know we've got Rhodey, but I kind of want some more heroes to play in this thing. And I really wish they had made it into a movie, because seeing Black Widow on screen again, and oh no, she's not really Black Widow. Like, she could have been the Queen Skrull in this storyline. That would have been really great to see Scarlett Johansson as the Skrull Queen. But yeah, I don't know. I'm hopeful. I'm optimistic. I feel like the reception for these last few MCU shows haven't been great, haven't been awesome, but yeah, I'm curious, and Samuel Jackson's in it, so I want to see it. Graviton, yes. Want to see him. He and Captain Fury are my 2 big Avenger villains that I'm still needing for my collection. Anybody else is a bonus, but those 2 are really, really, really needed. Keith, my biggest wishes are for play sets, because they enhance your enjoyment of all the figures you already have. Imagine a Baxter building play set. Absolutely. And I can put my Frightful Four outside one of the windows, skulking and about to come through and beat up on the Fantastic Four. I feel like a really good choice and option would be a Danger Room, because they don't have to do anything else. They can just put in little danger elements. That's terrible. Different elements that you could use, like the Marvel Select X-Men figures. They had different elements, weapons, attack drones, or whatever coming that you could use to have your X-Men train on. But yeah, they should do that. Absolutely. And that seems like an avenue they could use Pulse for. And they've done Jabba's throne room. I don't understand why there would be an issue or problem with doing that here. So love to see that. Ryan, Circus of Crime. That'd be a fun box set too. It's weird to think that Hasbro's had this license and been cranking out figures since at least 2013 with this more modern articulation, and we can still come up with so many figures left. I think we should just do a whole episode on Marvel Legend figures we want to see. Crazy. Let's see here. We'll make sure I didn't miss out on any cool things. Living Laser. He completes another team of the Masters of Evil. Backlash. Really good. Porcupine. Yeah, like we've gotten all these Iron Man movies, and we still need some version of the Mandarin that could work. Foswell, thank you so much, Ryan. I knew I was having the hardest time. The big man, thank you. The leader of the Enforcers. Yes, I really love to see him in figure form. In figure form. Rick Jones. I'm wondering with the Marvels when they're playing up the whole Captain Marvel and Rick Jones dynamic where they touch the bands, the other takes it, the other's place. If this is going to be an avenue where they put out a Rick Jones, maybe if they do a Marvel's line of figures like a wave, they throw in Captain Marvel with a better head sculpt and a Rick Jones. Maybe they do them in a 2-pack. That would work, and it would still function under the Avengers 60th anniversary umbrella too. I think that's maybe a really good avenue to get a Rick Jones because we need a Rick figure. Tombstone, yeah, he would be really fun to see back. And Warriors 3, absolutely. Yeah, $13 for the Hydra Stomper. I kind of feel like it's time to go back to Ollie's. After Christmas, it felt like they were a ghost town. And if you're looking for great deals on trades, Ollie's is really a gold mine as well. Lots of DC Rebirth, some decent Marvel stories. And if you're really lucky and catch them when they're restocking everything, you can get omnibuses for like super half off, like $30. Really good deal there as well. Man, God, build a figure for comic Thor Wave would have been amazing. Yeah, like Thor has been underserved despite all these movies too. Oh, really? That's good news. So time to hit up Ollie's again, definitely for sure. Baron Mordo and Clea. Yeah, I guess there's still some hope because we got more Doctor Strange movies coming, but I don't understand when we get them in the movies and we get figures in the movie versions, why it takes so long in some cases to get the similar version. With Clea showing up, I feel like that has to be obvious. Since they're doing more 2-packs, that seems to be an avenue they could do as well. Yeah, Hypersleep for sure. I feel like they really should, like, yeah, there's just no way around it. And it's kind of like, oh man, they should have done this story. And it's so messed up that we're not going to get Tony, Cap, and Black Widow interacting with the Fantastic Four and interacting with the X-Men. But okay. I mean, I love everything from the MCU right up until Spider-Man No Way Home. Then it kind of gets like up and down, but man, I felt like a missed opportunity. James, you asked me about this. I still haven't looked at this Ramen Racer. I will check this out. Next week, I will definitely tell you about that for sure. And Green Man, the Skrulls are going to be in the Secret Invasion. There's going to be a rogue faction of them. So we don't know how many Skrulls are running around, but those are going to be the villains to actually do more in line with the film, with the comic book. I felt like with the movie, they were trying to do I got you. The Kree are actually the bad guys. Now they're going back more to the comic roots with this storyline. And how cool would a new Fantastic card be to have? That's the thing. I feel like that's a Pulse offering. And I know they want to go everything with HasLab, but I feel like they could make a Fantastic car $200. I think that's what they charge for this last Boba Fett Slave One ship. I don't care what this new name is for it, but I feel like that's a really simple thing. It just needs 4 compartments. It's a slender thing outside of those seat areas for the Fantastic Four, so we don't need some massive thing. I would buy it because that's their way of getting around most of the time. And it's an iconic vehicle for the Fantastic Four. Let me see if I've missed anything before I go on, because I want to make sure I save enough time for my G.I. Joe heads. Yeah. Well, I'm hoping with Secret Invasion, we start to see more Sword Agents, Abigail Brand. I didn't like it. The Franklin and Valeria 2-pack. I mean, Franklin's too tall and Valeria is short, but not short enough. So it was one of those, let's use old molds, but man, it's like, why is Franklin the same height as Johnny? Not good. Fernando, thank you so much, man. I appreciate you watching and commenting. Yes. Yeah, anytime we use Mark Wade, I think they're okay. And Mike Waringo, great art. I would love the whole Fantastic Four line based off those guys too. Yeah, let's see here. All right. Now I still use the Toy Biz box set Franklin as my Franklin on my shelf. Because that 4.5 shirt, it's cute. Back when Franklin was the cute kid in the Fantastic Four. Yeah, he's really good in that. Kaboom! Thank you so much. I appreciate you watching this. Unthinkable Doom with the armor of Valeria. That was so creepy and so perfectly in line for Dr. Doom, and that would be a great figure. There's so many avenues of the Fantastic Four they can still hit. It's like, come on, guys, let's do this thing. Classic. I don't know what this for classic Doom. All right, since you prompted me properly. Let's move on to G.I. Joe Classified series. And this one was a little bit trickier because I feel like Hasbro understands the assignment in this case. Just make the classic versions of the characters and everyone will be happy. And we're seeing them knock out steadily different characters. This last reveal, we got Torpedo, Shipwreck, Rock and Roll, Copperhead. We know General Hawk is coming, Tripwire, Lowlight, a lot of figures. So I didn't go with, well, I need an Alpine and I need a Quick Kick, I need Doc, because I trust Hasbro with the Classified series line. I know we're going to get them eventually. So my choice was one character that might not be so obvious and might not be a choice they go with. It's Quinn. Now, if you read the early days of G.I. Joe with Larry Hama, just cranking out great issues one after another that were just as good as anything else in Marvel Comics at that time, Quinn was a great character, showed up in issue 2 kind of in the shadows, and then he just kept getting the upper hand on the Joes, including Snake Eyes. And this wasn't cartoon Snake Eyes, who was just a punk and a chump. This was super bad commando ninja Snake Eyes, and those two are these respected rivals, and then they teamed up going after Dr. Venom, another character I would want in figure form for Classified series, maybe even in a 2-pack. I would shudder to think what I would pay for a Classified series, Dr. Venom and Quinn, especially with his 50 cal machine gun. But yeah. Jay, thoughts on the Hab Lab? Yes, I'm sure it's going to be Hank Pym because Dwight posted on his Instagram, I love giant Build-A-Figures or giant figures. Giant was in all caps. I can't imagine it goes some really weird way and go with Cassie's structure as a HasLab because that won't fun. And Kelly, absolutely. That box set was great. I mean, the head sculpts were dead on from the art style. Yeah. Green Man, classic Scarlet is still needed. Yes. Like we've gotten so many redos on characters, but Leotard version of Scarlet is 100% a major need. And before we start going into everybody like Helix and Dawn, I need a better version of old school vintage retro Scarlet because Scarlet is one of my first Joes, and for sure Bazooka and Shipwreck look awesome. Absolutely, those figures look great. Anytime I get more of those 1985 series, I'm happy. So I'm hoping soon we see Quick Kick, we see Alpine, we see Footloose. Get those in figure form, airtight, knock out the whole set. His G.I. Joe Retaliation figure was cool. It is 100% great. And I keep saying 100%. He was 500% great. That figure looked awesome. He is prominently on my shelf of my 3.75 Joes. I think they knocked that figure out. All they need to do, just like the low light figure, is translate that to 6-inch form, and they'll have one of the best ones in the entire line. Oh, thank you. Another person in favor for Quinn. They need to redo CoverGirl stat. Yes, and make her look like the model she was. I don't know what happened with this head sculpt, but everything from the neck down is amazing. And I just don't understand what happened. I've seen some bizarro face prints on CoverGirl, and I feel like a lot of people who have a CoverGirl with a face printing that's okay and line up properly are like, well, it's not that bad, but I need a CoverGirl that looks way better than what we got because, geez, it's terrible. If you have any suggestions for a better head to replace that one that we got, let us know in the chat. Yeah. Vintage Scarlet and Duke for sure. Yeah, Keith. I feel like with all these different lines, I can trust them because they haven't let me down yet. You know, CoverGirl, Falcon's head sculpts notwithstanding, what they've done with this line has been like, okay, have no issues, no real complaints, and they're cranking out figures now at a faster rate. I'm kind of like, okay, cool. I'm happy with what y'all are doing, and I trust you, and I think you're going to keep doing it right. Yes, Sparks. You know, I'm kind of curious now with Super 7 doing the Ultimate line if he'll get done through them, or if Hasbro will go, no, we want Sparks. I kind of feel like Sparks may show up with Ultimate or Super 7. Yeah, the Falcon figure is kind of shaky with that head sculpt and the paint. I feel like they're having some issues making the camouflage stand out, and that's like a paint thing. But yeah, Falcon is a real tricky one. I like to see Mercer. I want to see Mercer too, but I kind of need Mercer with the rest of them. I need Red Dog and Taurus. Let's put those guys in a 3-pack. I'll be happy. Yeah, Snow Job being a deluxe figure. I feel like I could probably get him if I hold on for a long time because there are characters and figures that I thought for no way would sit around on the post until the next sale. But they have Storm Shadow, they have Spirit, they had Stalker, the Crimson Twins, they had that 3 pack of Vipers. I almost feel like rolling the dice, but I don't want to with a classic character like him, so I don't know. But yeah, the deluxe price wasn't great. It's just terrible. Yeah, like CoverGirl really is like if she were an Instagram model who just decided to put a bunch of stuff in her face, but that's not CoverGirl, and it's just not a good choice. Snake Eyes with 2 swords. So you're talking about the one with like the hockey mask, the blue, and then the 2 swords. Not the blue one, the third version, version 3 Snake Eyes with the swords on his chest piece. That was cool. Jay, yo, in the comments, put a picture of your cover girl swap. I'd love to see how that turned out because, jeez, they were terrible. I think they're ever going to do vehicles for classified? Yes, I think they are actually. I think they're going to do them soon. I think we've seen some teases of classified series and some listings from retailers. I think they have 3 vehicles listed. I know we're getting a Trouble Bubble. They've already revealed that. But I think we could see a Fang. That's a small scale vehicle that could work. The armadillo, the shark, just the devilfish. There's lots of small scale vehicles that they should do with no problem. So we should see them in the line. No problem. Oh, okay. Let me see what that looks like too. That seems like that could work. I saw somebody use the Punisher retro head for Falcon, and that looked really good too. Shockwave, yeah, Shockwave has a cool look. I wouldn't mind getting Bulletproof the rest of those guys too. They'd be fun. I haven't gotten Comic Ronin yet. The price tag is even chunkier than the figure, but I'm sure I'm going to get him because the figure looks great. I don't. It's just something weird. I think like the vehicle drivers are more of the rough looking characters that I associate in my head. I don't think Falcon needs to be a model, but I just think that they really kind of grummied up his head sculpt to the way it's weird. Yeah, Ryan, they might, but I don't know if I really, the funny thing is they released or we've seen those images of Tiger Force Dusty and he's got the camo over his eye like I wanted instead of like the tiger stripe. I feel like if we swap the heads on Dusty's, the Tiger Force and the regular one, we'll have a better version because I really feel like the paint job on the original one is more of a Tiger Force look. Shane, what up? Bang bang. Yes, I hope that my Niners will do something to keep the draft entertaining for us. Hey, thanks. Appreciate it, Jay. Curious if you saw that the Targets now have the Snake Eyes and Timber set for $20. Actually getting a Crocmaster set isn't the worst thing because you got that great Fiona. Classic Cobra Commander. We talking hooded one because I think we need that one too. That's absolutely a must get for this line. You got 2 sets of Crocmaster. Walmart refunding my money, so I got Snake Eye set from an actual Walmart store instead. Perfect. That's a good deal. So you've got 2 Fionas rocking with you, and I wish I could get one of those Crocmasters for cheap now because I kind of feel like I missed out. Yeah, he does, and it's like weird. I mean, I may as well just put some gauze and wraps around his face and make him Snake Eyes' brother instead of Duke. So my last thing, because I gotta get a vehicle for G.I. Joe Classified series, and you guys mentioned it. So this is I don't care what the price is. I absolutely need this for my Classified series. If I can get no other vehicle, it's the Killer Whale, not just the whale. It's the hovercraft, and this thing is so amazing and so great. I think you guys know my love for this vehicle. I never had it as a kid, so I want it now as a super big, super bad vehicle in the Classified series. I don't need it to be the full shelf encompassing vehicle, but I need it big enough that I can fit 1, 2, 3, 4 Joes in there and maybe some more in the lower level. That's what would be cool. Let's check out the 3D Joe's version of it because they break down all the cool features with the whale that I want to see in mine as well. So you see, it doesn't have to be but so huge and major, maybe a little bit longer than the His tank, but yeah, We got the bike. I need to get Cutter with this too. The loading ramp. Maybe just fit 3 Joes. I don't need it to fit like 12, but just enough that I can get a few in there. And then we got the recon sled. And then we got the little bike. Cool stuff. I mean, the Whale is one of those ultimate G.I. Joe vehicles. And for sure, we got to get that thing in figure form for the Classified series line. Like, that is something that I think would really work and be really cool. And so, yeah. So that's it. And that's my Joes, my Marvel Legends, my Star Wars Black Series, Storm Collectibles, Mafex, DC. I didn't put McFarlane on this because he's doing enough figures right now. I'm kind of like, I don't really need to come up with a list of figures because I think Todd's got it covered. But yeah. And Shane, yes, I am so glad we're seeing the plastic packaging back too, because we won't see any more travesties like CoverGirl, or they'll be sitting on the shelves. And I think it's just better for us to be able to see if anything's been swapped out, if anything's missing, and just to pick the best paint job, because that's what we need. Kelly, how big is the Whale? So you look at it here, it's wider. I think it would be about the size from what we've seen in the pictures, about a little bit more than the his tank, just a little bit wider. And it doesn't need to be as tall, but definitely wider and longer. And it needs those 2 turrets for the guys running the guns, and then just enough space for the driver, Cutter, and somebody else to sit next to him. The opening, like I said, you don't need to fit 8 Joes in there, but just enough that maybe you put 4 in. And I think that covers it. We got the bike, we got the little sled. Maybe that would be like a $500 HasLab deal, but I don't care. That's my thought of like, this is what I want if I could get one final vehicle for the Joe line. This 100% would absolutely do it. Orca. Yeah, that'd be fun too. The big vehicles are also playsets. A Whale would be unreal. The Rolling Thunder teeth. That's yeah. We should. That would be fun. I mean, while we're just imagining and hoping, that would be an awesome vehicle to get for them as well. And the Cobra Maga would be another fun one. The Rattler, the Sky Striker in 6-inch form would be incredible. Yeah. So we got Power Rangers. They've got a live stream coming. I think it's next week. So maybe we'll see some more figures from that. And I've gotten the Mighty Morphin Crew, and that's where my real interest in Power Rangers are. So now I'm just getting all the monsters they fight. But I see a lot of people aren't happy with Power Rangers. So I'm curious what the issue is and what's so bad with them. But yeah. All right, well, fellas, I think I'm about to wind this bad boy down. But yeah, let me know, comment away. Let me know what you want to talk about next week on next week's live stream. This was a lot of fun. And I want to keep doing these because this was cool talking with you all. The Bug for sure. Lots of cool Joe vehicles. But as always, thank you all so much for tuning in, hanging out with me tonight. It was a lot of fun. And we 100% do it. Hey, my co-host on Lyles Movie Files, Jason Lyles, what's up, bro? Hey, kaboom! Absolutely, I'll break through with a lot more of these classic looks of Marvel characters because, as you know, we could talk about Marvel Legends and GI Joe and Star Wars for a really long time. So we'll talk about all this stuff. But fellas, thank you so much for rolling with me and hanging out. 80s kids from the 90s till all are one. That's a perfect send off. Thank you as always for watching, and I'm going to post it so we can keep commenting and all that good stuff. As always, thank you. This episode of Lyles Figure Files has been filed.